your bitch, I don't trust you. Beautiful morning, here's something I wanted, babe.
The new Kanye, the bad mood Kanye, the always rude Kanye, spazzing the news Kanye, I miss the sweet Kanye, chop up the beats Kanye.
In 2016, Kanye was on a high note. The Life of Pablo was released that February to positive reviews from both critics and the public alike. Following the release of the album, Kanye announced that the next album, TurboGrafx 16, named after the game console of the same name, would release that summer alongside his upcoming St. Pablo tour to promote The Life of Pablo. As the summer went on, TurboGrafx 16 did not release. The St. Pablo tour kicked off, and Kanye embarked on a 41-date North American run. The tour received great reviews, with most fans loving the design of the floating stage Kanye would stand on while going back and forth across the venues above the floor crowds. However, the tour wouldn't continue for long. About halfway through the run, at the Sacramento date, Kanye went on a 20-minute-long rant about Jay-Z, Beyonce, Facebook, Hillary Clinton, and many other subjects he had strong opinions about. At the end, Kanye proceeded to end the show abruptly and leave the stage.
In middle America felt away, and they showed you how they felt. Feelings matter, bruh. It's a new world. It's a new world, Barack. It's a new world, Jay-Z. You know why? Because you was lied to by Google. You was lied to by Mark Zuckerberg. Get ready to have a field day, press. Get ready. Get ready. Because the show's over.
Following this night, the rest of the tour was cancelled and ticket holders were refunded. He later checked himself in the UCLA Medical Center due to psychosis caused by sleep deprivation and dehydration. After this, the world wouldn't hear much from Kanye for a while as he proceeded to lay low and be with his family as he recovered. But about a year later, rumors started to circulate that Kanye had been working with many well-known artists at a Wyoming ranch of his. Whether this was for his own record or someone else's, the public did not know. In 2018, it was announced that Good Music would release 5 short albums within back-to-back weeks. These records included Nas's Nazier, Pusha T's Daytona, Tiana Taylor's Keep That Same Energy, Kids See Ghost Self-Titled, and Kanye West's Ye. All of these records were recorded during the Wyoming sessions, with Pusha T's being the first to come from them. Since then, both Daytona and Kids See Ghost have been given universal acclaim from fans and critics alike. But on June 1st, 2018, Kanye released Ye, his 8th studio album. And while many tend to forget about this album or not bring it up when discussing Kanye's biggest career highlights, I tend to think Ye is his most underrated album to date. This short 7-track, barely 24-minute long LP was the biggest diversion Kanye had really taken at the time as far as subject matter of his music went. If you were to look back at Kanye's discography up to this point, you could almost trace any and all emotions Kanye was going through during the creation process of those albums. The College Dropout felt like Kanye was trying to prove to the world he deserved their ear. Late Registration built on from that, and Graduation had Kanye sounding like he was on top of the world. 808s and Heartbreak was an insane switch-up, with Kanye sounding more drowned in sorrow and pain through distorted autotune. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy had given back the same flair that College Dropout had, of Kanye trying to prove to the world that he was the greatest again amidst recent controversy at the time. Yeezus was Kanye's biggest fuck you to the general audience of people who wanted him to go in one direction, and The Life of Pablo showed Kanye relishing in his victory of becoming everything he wanted to be. The only album of his at the time that even sounded slightly comparable was 808s, which still sounded nothing like Ye. Shortly before the album came out, it was announced that the original title for the record was meant to be Love Everyone. The original cover art would have had a photo of Jan Adams, a plastic surgeon who performed liposuction and mammoplasty on Kanye's mother, which led to issues, ultimately leading to her unfortunate death. In text messages posted by Kanye, the meaning behind the original title was to reflect that he wanted to forgive and stop hating. On April 30th, Adams had requested Kanye to, quote, cease and desist using my photo or any image of me to promote your album or any of your work, unquote, in an open letter. He also added that he would be willing to sit down and discuss things with Kanye in private. Obviously, Love Everyone was never released. Following a May 2018 TMZ interview where he made controversial statements about slavery, Kanye flew back to Wyoming and scrapped the, at the time, 10 tracks they had recorded for the album. Kanye decided to remake the entire record following the interview, resulting in the 7 tracks on Ye. Unlike the majority of Kanye's work at the time, Ye in no way felt like an album intended to please the public. It felt like his own personal therapy session. It was a roller coaster ride of him coping with being diagnosed bipolar, the recent negative light he was in, and just overall finding his own inner peace. Ye features some of Kanye's most beautiful production to date, which says something considering just how many classics he has under his belt. I Thought About Killing You is simultaneously the most perfect and yet misrepresentative way to start the album. The nearly 2-minute long spoken intro from Kanye discussing how much he loves himself, and yet how he still at some points has wanted to kill himself, while explaining it in a way to show the other person he's speaking to that he definitely has thoughts about killing them, is one of the biggest Kanye-isms ever. The song kicks off with a fairly simple beat that Kanye also easily flows over for the remainder of the track, as it turns the mood from an eerie vibe to a more happy, turned-up one. The song abruptly ends, cutting into Yikes. Yikes feels like where the album really starts. Featuring production from Pierre Bourne, Apex Martin, Mike Dean, and Kanye, the track has one of my favorite beats from a Kanye record in a long time. The opening of the track allows Kanye's vocals to be the standout feature on the hook, with the sort of covered-up, pulsating bass in the background. Kanye on the hook of the song explains to the listener that his mental illness frightens himself, and that anyone with the same issues should find help as well. The hook also interpolates a part of the melody on Wolves, track 13, on the life of Pablo. The verses feature Kanye giving in-depth details about his personal issues at the time, while also referencing his addiction to opioids caused by the medication prescribed to him in 2016 after his diagnosis. While a fairly short track, Kanye makes plenty of mentions about controversies around the time, such as the TMZ interview and the Me Too movement. One of my favorite overall moments from this track comes right toward the end, when Kanye refers to his diagnosis as his superpower, which results in him calling himself a superhero. Seeing Kanye be able to come to terms with this makes me quite happy to see as a listener, knowing that he can understand his condition and be able to manage it while still being the public figure that he is, gives someone like me hope that at least in the moment of recording the song, he has felt like he overcame a challenge that otherwise would really affect his mental health. Yikes immediately runs into All Mine, a song heavily discussing cheating on women with some of the most hilarious lines from Kanye in years. Ironically, while the song discusses cheating, the opening of the track features some very church-esque organ that drops into a very simple beat featuring Aunt Clemens on the hook with a very high-pitched tone discussing the features of a woman. Ty Dolla $ign also makes an appearance on the bridge section. The verses from Kanye make references to Kerry Washington, who Chris Rock had an affair with amongst multiple other women during his marriage. Kanye plays on Kerry's name by following the name drop with
That's gonna be an enormous scandal.
referencing a TV show she appears on known as Scandal. The plot in the series involves Kerry Washington's character, who was a former media consultant to the president. It's later revealed that the president is having an affair with her, tying into the following line referencing Stormy Daniels, who was at the head of a massive scandal surrounding her being paid hush money to cover up an affair by former president and well-known Home Alone 2 actor Donald Trump. Kanye continues on through the first verse with more subtle name references to Corey Gambles, Tristan Thompson, and Kobe. The second verse on the song is very short and hilarious, with the first half of it saying,
Let me hit it raw like fuck the outcome. Hey, none of us would be here without come. Hey, if it ain't all about the income. Hey, let me see you go ahead and spend some.
And for this, I think it'd be better if I just read to you the genius annotation of these lines. Quote, having sex without a condom, or, quote, hitting it raw, unquote, is a pretty reckless act that can lead to pregnancy and diseases. Ye lauds this kind of chaos in the world. Without this recklessness, a lot of people wouldn't be here today. Additionally, Ye encourages anyone that claims that life isn't just about money to follow through with their claims and spend it, unquote. Thank you, genius, for the very in-depth breakdown of those lines. Wouldn't Leave is an entire track dedicated to his wife at the time, Kim Kardashian. Opening with a chorus from Party Next Door, the song describes the fear of losing a partner in a relationship through some beautiful vocal performances. In the first verse, Kanye discusses some of his well-known controversies, such as the Sway in the Morning interview, and once again, the slavery comments on TMZ. He further talks about how chaos and panic was ensuing around him, with his name being everywhere in the news with a negative point to it and many people reaching out to him. He continues speaking about Kim, calling him, saying that they were going to lose everything that they had built together due to these events. He closes the verse saying,
Told her she could leave me now, but she wouldn't leave.
While the first verse of the song is fairly short, it certainly does an amazing job of painting a picture of his personal life in this time and trying to convey his pain through the song. The second verse is longer and delves into Kanye giving his 2 cents on the public's general reaction to his recent stir-ups. He gives direct responses to people wanting him to think about the way he responds to others and in general, how people want him to act. The verse closes with him again doubling down that it's him and Kim forever. It also features a beautiful bridge section from Jeremiah, and the chorus again towards the end, but this time with Ty Dolla $ign and the Sunday Service Choir. The very end of the song features a more spoken word style outro from Kanye, telling men to keep themselves in check when it comes to relationships and to always be the man that they want to be. No Mistakes is the 5th track on the album and is the shortest as well. The song kicks off with a sample from Slick Rick's Hey Young World with the line "Believe It or Not," before opening with an insanely beautiful hook from Charlie Wilson and Kid Cudi, with the hook reassuring a woman that they still love her. The verse mostly once again reflects on where Kanye is at this point in his life and his situation at the time. It also features Kanye sending subliminal shots at Drake in response to Drake dissing him and Pusha T on Duppy Freestyle. Now, up to this point, Kanye had already given us 5 pretty great tracks that thoroughly explained everything going on in his life and gave the public his perspective on it. But the final 2 tracks on this album are 2 of my favorite Kanye tracks of all time. 2 of the most beautiful tracks ever from Kanye.
Someday, I wanna.
Ghost Town. Fucking Ghost Town. Where do I even start with this song? Produced by Benny Blanco, Francis and the Lights, Noah Goldstein, Mike Dean, and of course Kanye himself, Ghost Town is without a doubt the peak of Ye. Starting off with a sample of Someday by Shirley Ann Lee, it perfectly sets the tone for the drop of the instrumental. That amazing guitar in the background adds a flair to the beat that guides the track through its ups and downs. Party Next Door kicks off the first verse with a beautiful verse that plays on the sample in the intro and builds from it by saying he wants to rest like God did on the 7th day. This verse bleeds into Kid Cudi's short yet out of this world sounding chorus, discussing how he's been trying to make someone love him, but everything he tries only pushes them further away. On the surface, it sounds like it's discussing a relationship, but on the flip side, it could also be talking about Kanye trying to make both the masses and himself love him. Kanye comes straight back around for another relatively short but amazing sounding verse that kind of feels like it's trying to give someone hope, maybe even Kanye himself. Baby, don't you bet it all on a pack of fentanyl feels like he's telling someone to keep going and push on and not to cave to temptation. The verse wraps up and goes right back into Kid Cudi's chorus before going to the outro. If I could pick my favorite part of this entire album out, it would easily be 070 Shake's verse on the outro to this track. She has one of the greatest singing sections I've ever heard on a Kanye album, and here it specifically is the ultimate cherry on top. The lyrics discuss letting go of any and all things stressing you out or exhausting you by comparing it to the innocence of a child, saying we're still the kids we used to be, to convey that everyone still has a soul in them that can let go and just not focus on the bullshit and instead focus on what matters most to us at our core. This is quite simply one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life, and truly gives me a feeling that I cannot put into words every single time that I hear it. Ghost Town will forever be, in my mind, one of Kanye's best works to date.
Falling, dreaming, talking.
And to close out the album, we have Violent Crimes. Once again featuring 070 Shake, this song feels like it builds straight on the Ghost Town, even though it has a much different subject matter. 070 Shake opens up the song with an intro that sounds like it's coming from the perspective of a woman in an abusive relationship. The intro ends and rolls off into silence before dropping into the hook. The hook is written as a direct message to Kanye's daughters, expressing his anxiety about them growing up and being looked at as prey to the world. Kanye gives his best verse across the album by explaining how his perspective of women had vastly changed since before having daughters of his own. He also goes on to express that he would do anything to protect them, saying he doesn't play when it comes to them as no father would. The later part of the verse begins to almost tell a story of someone's daughter growing up and being looked at as prey by men, all while telling it from a father's perspective. Going on, he explains that as he warns her she's making the wrong choices and physically punishes her for it, it can push her into the arms of another man who will physically abuse her. The verse seemingly ties it all up by coming full circle with the beginning of it, by Kanye showing that he has been the monster he wants to protect his kids from, and lets the hook close out the entire album. So now that I've given you the full breakdown of the album, why do I think Ye is Kanye's most underrated album? Well, because frankly, it's amazing to hear Kanye come to terms with himself. Listening to a record where Kanye can acknowledge that he has always been at odds internally, no matter how high he thinks he is in the social eye or in his own field, really gives a nice fresh tone from him. It feels like the most honest Kanye has ever been on an album. Listening to him not only lay out his struggles, but also give answers to some of the situations he was involved with around that time, while not creating bigger issues following those responses, is amazing. Him locking in with many of his usual teams, such as Mike Dean, while also bringing in new artists to contribute like 070 Shake, also gave the record a nice feeling of it not being heavily Kanye focused. In fact, this album feels like it has a ton of features on it, even though there really are only a few. Fitting 7 features into a 24-minute LP is not easy to do without it either feeling like the artist contributing didn't get enough time, or like the main artist didn't have enough contribution on the final version, but that's just simply not the case here. The only artist I could think of that would kinda fall into the not enough time category is Kid Cudi, but honestly I still think it's fine considering within a week of the album releasing, fans got an entire Kanye and Cudi collab album that was fucking perfect. But at the end of the day, I still think this is one of my favorite albums from Kanye in the grand scheme of things. Is the album perfect? No. Does Kanye give people all the answers they were looking for around the time? No. Does Kanye still get into controversy today? Absolutely. Is it Kanye's most underrated album? Yeah, I think it is. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. This video took me an outrageous amount of time to put together between writing the script and then actually recording it, gathering up all the clips and editing it. This has been about a week of just dedicated to making this video, but I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I hope that you are too. Again, this took me forever to make, but it's something that I've been wanting to make for a while, and I've been delving a lot more in the background into the longer format videos, so I'm absolutely just super happy to be able to make stuff like this again. It's super cool to actually be able to do more creative stuff like this other than my general reaction content, and I mean, hey, if you guys love it and you guys want to see more of it, I'm absolutely here to do it. So again, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch it. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, been Vecman. Peace out.